ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तमा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। 103rd class. वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्।
वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्।
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते।
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते।
ननु जीवन्मुक्तः कः
ननु जीवन्मुक्तः कः
यथा देहोऽहं पुरुषोऽहम्
यथा देहोऽहं पुरुषोऽहम्
ब्राह्मणोऽहं शूद्रोऽहम्
ब्राह्मणोऽहं शूद्रोऽहम्
अहमस्मि इति
अहमस्मि इति
दृढनिश्चयः
दृढनिश्चयः
तथा नाहं ब्राह्मणः
तथा ब्राह्मणः
नाहं शूद्रः
नाहं शूद्रः
नाहं पुरुषः
पुरुषः
किन्तु असङ्गः
किन्तु असङ्गः
सच्चिदानन्दस्वरूपः
सच्चिदानन्दस्वरूपः
प्रकाशरूपः
प्रकाशरूपः
सर्वान्तर्यामी
सर्वान्तर्यामी
चिदाकाशरूपः अस्मि इति
चिदाकाशरूपः अस्मि इति
निश्चयरूप अपरोक्षज्ञानवान्
दृढनिश्चयरूप अपरोक्षज्ञानवान्
जीवन्मुक्तः
जीवन्मुक्तः
Who is Jivan Mukta? That is the question raised by the disciple, for which the Guru answers. This line describes a Jivan Muktaha. That is a Jnani. Who is a Jnani? Jnanam asya asti iti. Jnani. Jnani is one who has Jnanam. Jnanam also is an understanding like any other knowledge. So, Jnani is one who has knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge of oneself, the real knowledge of oneself. Whatever he thought about himself before knowledge, it's all negated by him now in the wake of Jnanam. Previously, he thought, before Jnanam, he thought himself to be a Dehavan, Purushaha, Pullingaha, Brahmanaha, Kshatriyaha, Vaishyaha, Shudraha, Brahmachari, Grihasthaha, Vanaprastaha, Sannyasi, or in the modern context, I'm an engineer, doctor, lawyer, employer, employee, father, mother, son, grandson, whatever it may be, all those things, they go away. Why they go away? They go away means with what he identified so strongly before, that goes away. Now he understands himself to be that which is the, in fact, which is adhisthana for all these things. All these things are not really me. What is me? Asangaha. All these things, they come and go. They are belong to the either the body or the mind, whatever or whichever or with whatever which I identified. They all belong to or they are connected through the body and the mind. They are not the intrinsic properties of the Atma. Before the study of the Shastram, we have the idea, I am the body, so connected, so identified with the body, whatever the attributes of the body is taken to be the attributes of myself. We never doubt with regard to that. But we doubt everything other than that, including our Shastram. Before, we are identified with our body all the time, body, mind, senses. Once you consider that Aham Degavan, I am the body, then all the attributes of the body will also come. With all the attributes of the body, you will identify yourself. I am male, I am female, I am fat, I am lean, I am black, I am white, I am dark. And all the complex also comes. Is it the right conclusion? These are the properties of the mind, property of the body. Similarly with the mind also. I am anger, I am worrying person, I am sukhi, dukhi, all those things with the emotions of the mind. Holding on to that, we take ourselves to be that. That's a wrong conclusion. And we hold on to that so strongly. Whereas a Jivan Mukta has opposite knowledge. Virodha Jnanam. Virodha Jnanam. Virodha Jnanam means Jnanam, which is opposed to Ajnanam. Virodha Jnanam. And this knowledge is so firm in this person as the other person who has so convinced with the identification of the body, mind, senses. Similarly, this Jivan Mukta as Dhrida Jnanam. He never doubts himself to be other than Atma. Deha is me, but I am not the Deha. Purusha is me, but I am not the Purusha. Brahmana is me, but I am not the Brahmana. All these are the roles, different roles I play. Father is me, but I am not the father. So he clearly understands that these are all the attributes of the Upadhi. Upadhi is me, but I am not the Upadhi. Wrong knowledge is Aham Brahmanaha, Aham Degaha, Aham Purushaha, Aham Degavan, Aham Shudraha. This is Ajnana. This is wrong knowledge. Virodha Jnanam is opposite knowledges, or otherwise right knowledge is Nagam Brahmanaha, Nagam Shudraha, Nagam Purushaha iti. Virodha Jnanam. Aham Asangaha. Virodha Jnanam opposite. Then if I am not this, then who am I? Kintu, who are you then? Who am I? Agam Asangaha, Agam Sachidananda Rupaha, Agam Prakasha Rupaha, Agam Sarvantaryami, Agam Chidakasha Rupaha Asmi. Each word of the description of Jivan Mukta is important. Why? Because each word removes the Viparita Bhavana, the wrong conclusion which one has. Which one has about oneself. Therefore, this is very important. Different words are used to negate different things. When you say Aham Degaha, Aham Degavan, Dehogam, I am this body, then Jivan Mukta says, no, Aham Asangaha, I am not attached. Aham Asangaha, I am always free. Asangaha, because body confines you, makes you limited. Then Jivan Mukta says, Agam Asangaha. As Asanga Atma is not associated with anything. Even though all of them are dependent on him, the Atma. The body can claim a relationship with Atma, but Atma doesn't get associated with anything. Like a pot, a ghata can say, I am from clay and I belong to the clay. A ghata can say, but what about the clay? From the standpoint of clay, there is no pot or anything. All that is there is only clay. Similarly, here also. So therefore, as Atma, I am not associated with anything. I am not dependent on anything. Everything depends on me for its existence. As Atma, I am untouched by anything. Untouched, asangaha. So therefore, the association is not for the Atma, asangaha. Because everything happens to be Atma, therefore Atma is Nitya Asangaha. Asangaha is not a detachment. You can understand, you can say detachment, but with understanding you can use the word detached. Can you say the space, Akasha, detached? If you say space is detached, then like space also, Atma is also always detached, we can say. Can we say space is detached? Space in which all the things are accommodated. The Jagat is accommodated in the space. But space is not, space is polluted. We say space pollution. It's not really, space cannot be polluted, only air can be polluted. That's for air pollution, not space pollution. So space is, it is as it is. It accommodates everything. Space cannot be polluted. The air which is in the space may be polluted, but space remains asangaha. Space is not contaminated by the objects which are in the space. As space is, similarly, Atma is always detached. So anything happens in the space is not affected. We can pollute the atmosphere, the air by burning fuels, but space which accommodates air and even the fuel, that never gets polluted. The space in association with everything, at the same time not associated with everything. There is no disassociation of space from anything. Space accommodates everything. At the same time, there is not disassociation. It doesn't dissociate. If we dissociate, then nothing can be there. So it doesn't dissociate from anything. Where there is no dissociation, there is no association also. So only Atma is not touched by anything, untouched by anything, but supports everything. Akashavat. It's like a movie screen. Everything happens in the movie. In the movie, you will see fire, you will see heavy rain, water, flood, huge conflagration, everything you will see in the screen of the movie. But the screen will not catch fire, or the screen will not become wet because of the water. The screen is asangaha. Screen is asangaha. Screen accommodates everything. It doesn't have association, therefore doesn't have dissociation. Everything happens on the screen. Even though happens on the screen, it is not associated. So that is called asanga is. Asanga, the word to be used, to be understood properly. We say detached, we can say detached. Nothing wrong using the word detached with the understanding. Detached or not attached, unattachment, detachment. The best example is the movie screen, which is not affected by anything which happens in the movie. Screen is, white screen is asangaha, similarly Atma also, untouched by anything, and it sustains everything. So what happens in the screen is mithya, and screen is satyam. Similarly, in the presence of Atma, what happens or what gains existence? They're all mithya. Atma is satya atma, satyam, asangaha. We can say the clay sustains the pot, and therefore the clay is a sustainer of all the pots. You can say, but at the same time, the clay is untouched by pot. Why? Because pot is not another pot is not an object, another object to touch the clay. Therefore, clay is always untouched. That is called asanga. So, therefore, dehoham is negated by asangoham. This is the viruddha jnanam, the jnani as. Aham degaha, this ajnanam, bandha jnanam, that is negated by asangoham, aham asangaha. That is the importance of the word asangaha. Degaha, aham degaha is negated by aham asanga atma. Then the next one, Sachidananda Swarupaha, that which is Sat. Yadu Trikale Tishtati, that is Sat. Sat is always non-negatable. That which is non-negatable is Sat. Chitta means Jnana Swarupaha. Ananda means Purnatvam, completeness, fullness, wholeness. So Jivan Mukta knows Aham Atma Sachidananda Swarupaha. Ajnani says Aham Manushyaha. Therefore, I am subject to death. Aham Martyaha. Jivan Mukta says, no, I am not Martyaha. I am not subject to destruction. Aham Satswarupaha. I am the one because of which everything exists. Everything gains existence. I am not destructible. Sat, non-negatable. In all the three periods of time, Aham non-negatable. Everything can be negated, but that after negating everything, that which remains as non-negatable, that is Atma. That is myself. So that existence, the object which gains its existence is because of me, Sadatma. Therefore, Aham na Martyaha. Ajnani says Aham Brahmanaha, Aham Shudraha. Whereas Jivan Mukta says Aham na Brahmanaha, doesn't have association with any Varna. Aham Chit Swarupaha. Ajnani says Aham Shudraha. Jnani says Aham Ananda Swarupaha, na Shudraha. Brahmana, when we say it is something superior, complex. Shudraha, when you say that's inferiority complex. There is nothing high or low about you, the Atma. In fact, everything about you is great only because you are Ananda Swarupaha. So there is nothing high or low. Agam na Brahmanaha, kintu agam Chit Swarupaha. Agam na Shudraha, kintu agam Ananda Swarupaha. So if you think yourself to be a Brahmana, then we say you are not Brahmana, you are Sat Swarupa Atma. If you worry that Agam Shudraha, I am low person, lowly in terms of the Varna, discarded by the society. No, you are Ananda Swarupaha, negated. So Agam Asangaha, when negates Agam Asangaha, when we say that negates Agam Purushaha, Agam Degaha. Similarly, Agam Brahmanaha is negated by Agam Chit Swarupaha. Agam Shudraha is negated by Agam Ananda Swarupaha. So anything you say about Atma is negated by an appropriate word. Agam Bandhaha, I am bound. I am bound by time. I am bound by space. That is negated by Agam Nityaha, Agam Nitya Atma. I am not bound by space or time, not subject to time. Agam Ajnani, I am ignorant if you say. That is, Jivan Mukta negates that also by saying Agam Prakasha Swarupaha. I am in the form of the light of consciousness, Prakasha Swarupaha. Agam na Jnani, kintu Agam Jnanavan, Prakasha Swarupaha. Agam Prakasha Swarupa Chaitanyam. I am the effulgent, self-effulgent being, Prakasha Swarupaha. Agam Swatasiddhaha. Agam Swatasiddhaha Tasmat Prakasha Swarupaha. Jyotisham api Jyotihi. Jyotisham api Jyotihi. Agam Swatasiddhaha. That doesn't require anything else to establish. Swatasiddhaha. That is what Swatasiddhaha. Suppose there are objects in a dark room. The room is dark. And there are objects and you want to find an object. Therefore, you need a lamp. You need a lamp to see what is in the room. Suppose there is a lamp in the room, then you don't need another light to see the lamp. The lamp reveals itself. The lamp is Prakasha Swarupaha. The lamp is the lamp which illumines everything, that is Prakasha. But it is Achetana, Achetana Vastu. Lamp illumines everything. But to say that there is a lamp, you require a conscious being. Without a conscious being, even though the room is lit by lamp, it will be dark only. Therefore, to appreciate the darkness or even the light, you need a conscious being. Therefore, and what about that conscious being? Is it dark or is it light? It is Jyoti Swarupaha. Even the darkness, physical darkness, also illuminated by this Jyoti. Therefore, only Aham Atma Jyotisham Jyotihi, light of all the lights, consciousness. Consciousness which illumines the darkness, which illumines the light, it illumines everything. Swatah Siddhaha doesn't require anything for its illumination. Ajnani says, I am confined to this body, mind, sense complex. Whereas Jnani says, Aham Sarvantaryami, Antaryami, Sarva Antaryami. I am not locked up in this. I am not confined in this body, mind, sense complex. I am the Atma, self in all the beings. Tattvabodha. Tattvabodha Antaryami. Tattvabodha Antaha. That's why Vasudevaha we say. Vasati Sarvasmin. Iti Vasudevaha. The one who lives in the heart of all the beings. Antaryami. Agam Jagat Karanam, I am the cause of this Jagat. And we know a Karanam, the cause pervades the Karyam. Karyam is there. Karyam doesn't exist separate from Karanam. Therefore, Karanam is always in and through all the Karyam. Gold is there where ornaments are there. Where bangle is there, gold is. Where anklets are, gold is. So, gold, the cause, it pervades the Karya, ornaments. Similarly, Aham Brahma, the cause, Brahma is the cause. I am the cause. Therefore, I pervade everything. When I say I pervade everything, I pervade all the beings also. As water is Sarvantaryami of waves, bubbles, wavelets. Similarly, Jivan Mukta says, Agam Sarvantaryami, I pervade the entire Jagat, and Jagat and the Jagat beings are there. So therefore, Aham Sarvantaryami, I reside in all the beings. It doesn't mean that it resides inside the beings. It means it pervades the entire Jagat. Therefore, there is nothing inside, outside. There is nothing inside, outside for Atma. But in the prani, in a being, in a prani, there is the manifestation of this Chaitanyam, this consciousness. That is me. That is Sarvantaryami. In Chaitana Vastu, Sarvantaryami. In Achetana Vastu also, I'm only is there. There's nothing Achetana really speaking. Everything is manifestation of this one consciousness alone. In the Chaitana Vastu, in the conscious being, there is a medium to manifest this consciousness. Antakaranam is there. Mind is there. All the beings have the mind. Maybe the lower beings have mind which is inhibited, not like that of the human being. In human being, the mind is not inhibited. It gains the maximum potential or the capacity to manifest this consciousness. Therefore, only because of this only human beings are considered to be greater. Because he has got the buddhi is highly functional compared to other beings. In other beings also, this consciousness, the mind is there. The mind, because the mind is inhibited by the upadhi, therefore, that being doesn't enjoy the free will as the human being enjoys. But mind is there. And in the mind only this consciousness manifests. Therefore, sarveshu bhuteshu hridaya bhuveshu antaryami aham antaryami. Therefore, as antaryami, I remain in all the beings. I remain in all the beings. I alone is there in all the beings are antaryami. So antaha api bhagyaha api. Therefore, there is nothing inside or outside. Like Akasha, Sarvavyapi, already we told, Sarvavyapi. And in the Bhuta, I manifest as consciousness. So Antaryami. Agam Chirakasha Rupaha. I am in the form of the consciousness. Chit Akasha. Like Akasha, space, I am all pervasive. Akasha is the subtlest element which is all pervasive. Similarly, consciousness also all pervasive. That you can see Antaryami is inside. Akasha is all pervasive. Therefore, only we say there is nothing called inside or outside. Space is inside as well as outside. Space is inside the room as well as outside the room. Then what is the wall? The wall is really, it cannot divide a space. It as though divides a space. Similarly, the all pervading consciousness is as though divided by this upadhi, body, mind, senses. This body, mind, senses cannot divide the consciousness, as though divides. As there is space inside the room, similarly, Atma is there in the beings. What about outside the room? Outside the room also space. Outside the body also, Atma is. So Atma is Chidakasha, pure consciousness. All pervasive, like space. In fact, in the space alone, everything exists. Similarly, in the Chidakasha only, everything exists. Therefore, there is no inside or outside. Nothing inside or outside. It's both inside and outside. In fact, inside and outside, everything is within the Chaitanya Atma only. So the inside and outside are all just concept. For Chaitanya, there is nothing inside and outside. So therefore, Chidakashaha, all pervasive. Aham Chidakashaha. This knowledge which is well entrenched, Drida Nishchayaha, in whom that person is called Jivan Muktaha. In him there is no doubt whatsoever. Previously, before becoming Jivan Mukta, he was having strong notions. Agam Karta, Agam Bhokta, Agam Degaha, Agam Purushaha, Ityadi. When all these notions were negated as they were not true, they are Mithya Jnanam. Now he has got clear knowledge, Samyak Jnanam, and also that it's because of Samyak Jnanam, all the Ajnanam got driven away. All the notions regarding oneself, Aham Karta, Aham Bhokta, were so firm when you did not do Vichara. Without doing Vichara, we just accepted Aham Karta, Aham Bhokta, Aham Purushaha, Aham Degaha. These were not gained by any Pramanam, not Pramana Prapta, but you concluded yourself to be this. This is something amazing. Without operating in any Pramana, you have come to conclusion. What conclusion? Wrong conclusion. For everything other else, you will ask for pramanam. What is? How do I know? What is the means? How can I believe? But with regard to this body, mind, senses, taking that to be yourself, you don't need any pramana. Without any vichara, without any operating any pramana, you just concluded up. It is not pramana prapta. All these conclusions, wrong conclusions, are not pramana prapta. That's why it's called wrong. That's why it is negated. If it is concluded by operating a pramanam, if you have concluded, if agam degaha, agam purusha, agam karta, agam bhokta, brahmanaha, shudra, if this jnanam is concluded or gained by any pramanam, then that cannot be negated by even by Shastra. Why? Because anadigata, abadita, arthavata, jnana janakam pramanam. Pramana, that is a means of knowledge. For it to be valid, it must fulfill those conditions to be a valid pramana. So, if these conclusions are pramana prapta, then Shastram cannot negate that. Therefore, these conclusions are agam degaha, purushaha, these conclusions are not pramana prapta. Apramana prapta. It is praptam without operating any pramana. Avichara siddha. Agam degaha, how did you conclude? How can you conclude that agam degaha, agam purushaha? Who told you agam purushaha? Agam brahmanaha. How do you know you are a brahmana? What is, first you have to understand what is agam. Then you have to understand what is brahmanaha. Even if you understand what is brahmanaha, what is aham, what is the nature of aham? Everywhere aham, in everything aham is there. So what is that real aham? Have you inquired into the nature of aham? Without inquiring into the nature of aham, we concluded that's why it's not pramana prapta. That is why when the Shastram teaches this jnanam, virodha jnanam is negated. After gaining knowledge, these wrong conclusions are negated. So, after gaining knowledge, agam atma, that knowledge is a knowledge that stays forever. Once the knowledge comes, that will not go. That will not go. That is it stays forever. And if it has that knowledge, if it has to go, then it should be contradicted by other knowledge. But there is no contradicting knowledge to agam atma. In fact, agam atma, that knowledge dismisses the wrong knowledge, all the virodha jnanam. Therefore, shuddha jnanam, agam atma, agam jagat karanam brahma, aham asmi, that jnanam is the final knowledge, ultimate jnanam, gained by Shastram, as taught by Guru, that cannot be contradicted by anything. That is why it is dhrida. If the jnanam is dridam, if it is firm and stable, that cannot be dismissed later by any other jnanam. The one who has this dhrida nishchaya rupa aparoksha jnanam in the form of direct knowledge, this atma jnanam is direct knowledge. Let understand this important. It is not indirect knowledge. It is direct knowledge. When you hear the words of the Shastram, it is not that you will gain the knowledge later. It is in the very class itself. Once you listen to the words of the Shastram, there itself, it is direct knowledge. You submit yourself to the words of the Shastram, then you gain knowledge. For the knowledge to give you the palam, there in enjoying the palam, there may be some obstacles. There may be some obstacles, therefore you may not enjoy the palam of Atma, but jnanam is there. That is pratibandha ka jnanam. Because of some inhibition, some pratibandha or some lack in sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, even though you have listened to the words of the Shastram, even though you have listened to the Shastram for so many years, you are not able to enjoy the palam of the jnanam. It means there are some pratibandha. Therefore, for the removal of pratibandha only, different sadhanas are prescribed. Karma yoga, dhyanam, upasana, ashtanga yoga, any yoga, upasana, vrata, etc. All these things are prescribed. But the knowledge is direct knowledge, gained through the listening to the words of the Shastram. If you are a prepared person, if you are an adhikari, then listening to the words of the Shastram must give you jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, drida nischaya rupa, aparoksha jnanam. Even otherwise, over a period of time, by continuous listening, that is why the repetition also is not a dosha. We need constant reinforcement of the teaching of the Vedanta. Because in the Vyavahara, most of the time we spend our time in the Vyavahara, so we forget. We are carried over by our emotions, by our anxieties, worries, sukha, dukkha, both are there, bandha, etc. So we are carried over by that. Therefore, this knowledge has to be constantly reinforced. When this knowledge becomes so strong, then you become Jivan Muktaha. So therefore, it is a direct knowledge only. Direct knowledge only. Because you don't realize a palam, that is not because of the problem with the pramanam or the prameya. It is a problem with the pramata, the receiver, the knower. The knower has problem. The knower has to be prepared. So once there is a perfect, there is nothing called perfect. Once there is the pramata who is a prepared pramata adhikari, then when pramanam is there, prameya is there, jnanam must happen. The one who has this jnanam, aproksha jnanam, that person is jivan muktaha. Aproksha, drida nischaya rupa, firm conclusion. Nischaya is firm. Drida is firm. Nischaya is the conclusion. A strong conclusion, firm conclusion with regard to one's swarupa, nischaya rupa. Aparoksha jnanavan is a jnanavan, jnani, jnanam in the form of direct knowledge, not that knowledge to be gained later or somewhere else. That person is jivan muktaha, saka jivan muktaha. What is aparoksha jnanam? If you ask, aparokshasya jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. Aparokshasya atmanaha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. Aparoksha jnanam is aparokshasya. Atma is aparoksha. Atma is nitya aparoksha. Aparoksham cha tat jnanam cha. Aparoksha jnanam. Aparokshasya jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. So in two ways a samasa can be formed. It can be karmadharaya, aparokshasya jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, tat purusha samasa. Aparoksham cha tat jnanam cha, aparoksha jnanam, karmadharaya. Anyway, you can form. If you know samasa, Sanskritam, then you can understand this. Jnanam, which is direct, is called aparoksha jnanam. Jnanam, which are gained through senses, is called pratyaksha jnanam. Understand? Paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, pratyaksha jnanam. You operate the sense organs, open your eyes, or ears are always open, and nose, let the nose be open, then you gain the knowledge. You gain the knowledge of the sense object when you let the sense organs go towards sense objects. Pratyaksha jnana. Akshnaha prati. Pratyaksha. Akshna means eyes. Akshnaha eyes. Prati means in front of. That which stands right in front of, in the form of objects. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, which are available for your perception of all the five senses. That is called pratyaksha jnanam. The jnanam of the objects are nothing but having these attributes, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, and your sense organs are endowed with the perception of this shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Therefore, you perceive, that is pratyaksha, akshnaha prati pratyaksha. Now, when the object doesn't fall within our senses and you gain jnanam, that jnanam is called paroksha jnanam. Like the fire is not seen on the top of the mountain, but fire is inferred. How? Because you see the smoke. You see the smoke, therefore you conclude that the mountain must be on fire. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. So fire is not seen, but you conclude. That's called anumana pramanam. That is paroksha jnanam, akshaha, paraha, which is beyond eyes. You don't see the fire, but you conclude. Paroksha jnanam. That which is not pratyaksha is called paroksha. Pratyaksha is that which is available for your sense organs. That which is not pratyaksha is paroksha. And that which is not even paroksha is aparoksha jnanam. Aparoksha jnanam is, in fact, we translate pratyaksha as direct knowledge, paroksha as remote knowledge, indirect knowledge, and aparoksha is immediate knowledge. That's the best translation. Immediate knowledge. Pratyaksha, paroksha, aparoksha. Nitya aparoksha, immediate knowledge. Why it is immediate? Because it is neither far, neither near or nor far. So jnanam of myself, me, it is paroksha. If it is paroksha jnanam, if there's something called paroksha jnanam, it can be only of me, paroksha jnanam. So, therefore, what is the pramanam for this knowledge of me? How can you know by yourself? What pramanam will help you to know yourself? Really speaking, there is no pramanam for gaining the knowledge for gaining this knowledge. I am this knowledge you want to gain. What is a pramanam? There is no pramanam. There is no pramanam for that. How can you say that Shastram is there in the form of words, Shabda Pramanam? Shabda Pramanam is only to remove ajnanam about me. Shabda Pramanam is only to remove ajnanam. Aham Degaha, Aham Purushaha, Aham Brahmanaha, Aham Shudraha, all these are ajnanam, virodha jnanam. That all removed by when the knowledge of you is invoked. The knowledge of you is as though covered, that covering only has to be removed. Ajnana nivritti, that alone is jnanam. There is no production of new knowledge. So, Shastram doesn't produce any new knowledge about you. It cannot do. How can Shastram produce or generate knowledge of you? Shastram here, unlike other pramanam, Shastram doesn't produce any knowledge. For example, you see the rose and eyes are open, eyes see the flower, it is rose, jnanam. So it's a knowledge. So the knowledge of the object is produced by the functioning of the eyes. What about the Atma? Can Atma be known like that by operating any pramana? Does any pramana operate and produce knowledge of Atma? No. Knowledge of Atma, really speaking, is removal of ajnanam. Ajnana nivritti alone is Atma. As the sun is covered by the clouds, when sun is covered by the clouds, there is darkness, but sun always shines. It is swata siddha. It doesn't require anything to be illumined. It is always shining, ever illumined. So what requires to know the sun? Only the clouds have to go. Ajnana nivritti. Therefore, only words. Therefore, since you have wrong conclusions, therefore you need words to dismiss these wrong conclusions. That's why Shabda Pramanam. You don't have to do anything. There is no karma involved. Karma is involved only when the Atma is really covered by something. When Atma is really covered by something, then only karma is required. You have to polish the Atma. You have to refine the Atma. You have to distill the Atma. You have to purify the Atma. Only when Atma is really covered by something. Atma is asangaha, Sachidananda Swarupaha, Prakasha Rupaha. How can Atma be covered by Deha, Purusha, Brahmana, all these attributes? These do not cover, do not confine the Atma. But you have Abhimana with that. Because you have Abhimana in the form of thoughts, the Vritti. Therefore, only we need opposite Vritti. We need Ajnana Vritti is there, therefore we need Jnana Vritti. How Jnana Vritti, how Jnanam is formed? Jnanam is not gained through karma, not by pranayama, not by any exercise, or not by going to pilgrimage, or not by taking bath in holy waters. That is Jnana Vritti only through Shabda, the words. The words have to come and knock off the wrong notion. Ajnana Nivritti is only by Jnana Vritti, and Jnana Vritti is generated by Shabda Pramanam. Therefore, Shabda Pramanam is only to remove Ajnanam about me. And Aproksha Jnanam is the knowledge which is immediate. It is not a postmortem work. It is not a belief, or it is not a postmortem work. We have to gain later. It is now. It's a matter of understanding. Therefore, it has to be immediate. The one who has got this immediate knowledge is called Aproksha Jnanavan. Jnanam asya asti. Jnanavan. Jnani. The knowledge that I am Chidatma, I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is self-revealing, Aparoksham. The knowledge of self-revealing Aparoksha Atma, one who has is Aparoksha Jnanavan. That is not going to be Paroksha. Aparoksha Atma is cannot be immediate or cannot be indirect knowledge. It is immediate. Therefore, there is nothing called theory and practice. When it comes to science, you need theory first and then practicals. But what about this jnana? Since it is aparoksha, which is immediate, therefore, there is no theory and in practice. First you understand, then later we will work on that, and then it will come. It's not like that. You just get some information, then put it in the mind, then later we will work on that. It's not like that. While listening, the understanding has to happen. Therefore, there is nothing called theory and practice. There is only Shravana. It doesn't require theory and practice. This not a Vedanta is not a theory. Advaita Vedanta is not a theory, and therefore you don't need to practice it later. How can you practice also? How can you practice to be Atma practitioner? Like this medicine practitioner, medical practitioner, the Atma practitioner. There is nothing called Atma, a practitioner. You know, that's all, it's over. Akam Aparoksha Atma. Atma is always Aparoksha. Therefore, there is no indirect knowledge of Atma. Pujya Swamiji used to say, you cannot sit on the Atma for Atma to hatch. Atma is not an iron bit that you shape that into something. You eat it up, beat it up on the anvil to shape. Atma is not like that. Atma is always Aparoksham. Atma is always aprodaksham. Therefore, aproksha jnanavan jivan muktaha iti. The one who has this aproksha jnanam, which is immediate and it's a matter of understanding, who has gained through Veda Pramanam, that person is muktaha, he becomes free. When? Here and now. Jivan eva muktaha, jivan muktaha. Iti. We'll stop here. Then we need to talk a little about this. We'll do that further in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।
Dhanyavadah.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।